One match, one date, two legends who have never once faced each other competitively. July 19th. That's the only day left where it could still happen.
Hold on. Never? Not even once?
Stay with me. I'll show you exactly what has to go right for both of them, match by match, for this to actually occur. You've heard the dream for years. Messi versus Ronaldo. One last time on the biggest stage this sport has to offer. It almost happened earlier than anyone expected this tournament. It almost happened in the quarterfinals. Almost. Portugal needed one result, a win over Colombia. That's all it would have taken to flip the entire shape of this story. They got 0-0 instead, in a match where Portugal pushed numbers forward for long stretches, but couldn't find the breakthrough that would have changed everything that came after.
One draw did all that?
That single draw changed everything. Because of that result, Portugal finished second in their group instead of first. And in this format, with the bracket locked the moment the group stage ends, second place sends you to the brutal side of the draw. No exceptions, no second chances. This is the moment I promised you. Let me show you both roads side by side, and you'll understand exactly why everyone is suddenly talking about this again. Argentina's road starts against Cape Verde, the smallest nation to ever reach a World Cup knockout stage, a team of 500,000 people that's already shocked 3 former champions just to get here, the kind of opponent nobody wants to underestimate twice in the same tournament. After that, it's Australia or Egypt, neither one a team most observers expect to seriously trouble Messi's squad on current form. Then likely Colombia or Switzerland in the quarterfinals, a tough night's work, but nothing close to a nightmare draw on paper. Then, in the semifinal, either Brazil or England, the first true heavyweight test on this entire road, and the kind of match that could just as easily end this story before it ever reaches July 19th. Did you know no team has won back-to-back World Cups since Brazil way back in 1962? That's the achievement sitting at the end of Argentina's path. More than 6 decades of history waiting to be matched. Pundits are openly calling this the most favorable knockout draw of any major contender left in the tournament.
Favorable compared to what, though? Let's see Portugal's side before we crown anyone.
Fair. Here's Portugal's road. Croatia first, a team that's reached the semifinals twice in the last 3 tournaments and plays like it knows exactly how to frustrate bigger names for 90 patient minutes. Then Spain, the reigning European champions, who Portugal already failed to beat earlier this summer in a match that ended scoreless despite real chances on both sides. Then the co-hosts, the United States or Belgium, either one carrying genuine knockout danger of their own. Then, in the semifinal, some combination of France, Germany, and the Netherlands, 3 of the deepest squads left in this entire competition, all funneled into the same half of the bracket. One pundit described it with a single word after the bracket was finalized: yeesh.
That's not analysis, that's just a vibe.
It's a vibe that happens to be accurate. Could you draw this bracket from memory right now? Be honest, yes or no. Drop it in the comments, because even people who followed every match closely are struggling to keep both paths straight without looking it up. Subscribe right now if you want to track both of these roads all the way to July 19th, because this channel is going to follow every step of this story, match by match, until we get an actual answer. Here's the part almost nobody is talking about yet. This isn't really a story about 2 teams, it's a story about 2 men who have spent 20 years being measured against each other without ever once getting the stage that would have settled anything. Messi and Ronaldo have only met twice on the international stage, and both occasions were exhibition friendlies, completely meaningless in competitive terms, back in 2011 and 2014. Portugal and Argentina have never faced each other competitively in the entire history of both nations. Not once. Not at a World Cup, not at a Euro, not in a single qualifying campaign across more than a century of football played by both countries.
Wait, genuinely never? Not even in some random friendly decades ago?
Never. 2 of the most decorated careers in the history of this sport, and the head-to-head column between their countries reads completely blank. Think about everything else these 2 have done in parallel. Both made their World Cup debuts as young, unproven players back in 2006 on opposite sides of the planet, with nobody yet calling calling either of them the best of their generation. Both have now played in 6 different World Cups, joined in that exact club by literally no one else in tournament history. Both have won 8 Ballon d'Or trophies between them. Both have broken nearly every individual scoring record this sport keeps track of, and both are almost certainly approaching the very last stretch of their international careers at the exact same moment in history. Every major outlet covering this tournament has run some version of the same headline this week, the same hopeful question mark hanging over every article. That alone tells you how much this single, hypothetical match means to people who don't even support either nation. We've all felt this, watching 2 icons of our own childhood get compared endlessly by people online for years, knowing deep down that the debate would only ever truly settle itself on a pitch, and that pitch never seemed to arrive no matter how many seasons passed. Ronaldo, by his own historical record, has never scored or assisted in a World Cup knockout match, not once, across 6 tournaments and what will eventually be dozens of knockout stage minutes played over 2 decades. That single fact tells you how much weight is riding on this stretch of his career. At 41 years old, almost certainly playing in his final World Cup with a record he would clearly love to finally rewrite before his time runs out completely. Messi already has the trophy, already completed his career in Qatar 4 years ago, already silenced every lingering question about whether he could do it on this exact stage. For him, this is about whether he can do it again, becoming the first man to lift this trophy twice as captain since the legends of the 1960s, a feat that would put him in territory even his own legendary career hasn't reached yet.
Okay, but Messi already has his ending. Doesn't that lower the stakes for him compared to Ronaldo?
Maybe emotionally, not historically. The stakes for the achievement itself are arguably higher because nobody's repeated it in over 60 years. Fairy tale collision course, or a matchup that the bracket itself is actively working against at every turn. Pick one in the comments, because right now, both feel true depending on which half of that draw you're staring at. Here's the honest version of how this falls apart before it ever happens. Argentina's path is favorable, not free. Brazil and England sit in that same half, and either one represents a genuinely dangerous semifinal opponent. Cape Verde themselves have already proven this tournament that a supposedly easy first knockout match can turn into anything once the whistle blows. Portugal's path is significantly worse on paper, and Spain alone has already shown this tournament they can hold a major nation to a stalemate without much difficulty.
Right, and that's the part people keep skipping past. 4 wins in a row is 4 wins in a row. It doesn't matter how favorable the bracket looks on a graphic.
Agreed. The math says this final is possible. The football says both teams still have to win 4 matches in a row against the best competition this sport has produced in a generation, with 0 room for a single bad night, a single refereeing decision, a single moment of bad luck at the wrong end of the pitch. There's also fitness working against both captains differently. Messi is 39, deep into a season that never really stopped for him at club level before this tournament even began. Ronaldo is 41, the oldest outfield player in this tournament, still capable of magic, but not for 90 consecutive minutes the way he once could across an entire career spanning 2 decades. 4 more matches each over barely 2 weeks against opponents who only get tougher the deeper either team advances is a brutal physical demand at this stage of either career. Commit to an answer right now. Do you think we actually get this final? Yes or no? I think Argentina gets there. I think Portugal's road is the harder bet by a significant margin, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise just because the story is the one everyone wants. Drop your prediction in the comments because I want to see who calls this correctly before a ball is even kicked in the next round.
I'll say this much. I didn't care about this matchup an hour ago. Now, I actually want to see both brackets play out.
That's the whole point. 20 years of comparison, argument, and endless online debate. Two careers that have somehow never collided when it actually mattered, despite playing the exact same era of this sport at the exact same elite level. And one single date left on the calendar where that could finally, completely change everything we think we know about how this rivalry was always going to end. July 19th. That's still the only day left where it could happen.
All right, I'm watching every one of these knockout matches now.
And speaking of paths nobody expected, the smallest nation in World Cup history is still standing in Argentina's way before any of this can even begin. You won't believe how far they've already gone. It's on your screen right now, so go tap it before you do anything else.